So you're thinking about starting a business in Australia. You've got that killer idea, the passion is there. But what about all the legal stuff? Don't worry. In the next few minutes, we're going to give you a quick and clear launchpad, breaking down the absolute essential laws you've got to know before you start.
Look, you've got the drive, you have the vision to build something amazing, maybe even an empire. It's an incredible feeling, right? But before you go out and conquer the market, there's one crucial first step you absolutely cannot afford to skip.
Because that brilliant idea of yours, it needs a legal shield. Seriously. Understanding the law isn't about being restricted, it's about being empowered. Think of it as the strong foundation that lets you build your dream with real confidence. So let's start with your most valuable asset.
Okay, everything kicks off with that one great idea, that spark. But, as soon as you have it, a really important question pops up.
This is the question, isn't it? It's the one that keeps founders staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. You've created something totally unique, so how on earth do you make sure it actually stays yours? Well, the answer lies in something called intellectual property law. This is basically your legal toolkit for ownership. Let's break it down. Think of it like this. Trademarks protect your brand, like your name and your logo. Copyright protects your creative stuff, like the code for your app or the words on your website. And patents, they protect your unique inventions. Here's a quick tip. Before you do anything else, head over to the IP Australia website and do a free trademark search. Seriously, it could save you a fortune in rebranding down the line. All right, so your idea is protected. Now it's time to actually bring it to life. And that almost always means you've got to work with other people. We're talking suppliers, partners, maybe even a co-founder and your first few team members. A handshake and a smile are nice, but in the world of business, you need certainty. You need to know that when someone makes a promise, they're going to keep it. So how do you do that? Simple, with a contract. Contract law is, and I'm not exaggerating, the absolute backbone of business. Every single time you hire someone, agree on a price with a supplier, or sign a deal with a partner, you're wading deep into the world of contracts. It's the official rulebook for all your business relationships. And you know what? The core of a contract is actually way simpler than it sounds. It just boils down to these three things. First, there has to be a clear offer. Then, a straightforward acceptance of that offer. And finally, consideration, which is just a fancy legal word meaning both sides have to get something of value out of the deal. It could be money, goods, a service, whatever. As long as you have those three elements, you've got yourself a binding agreement. Okay, moving on. Whether it's just a desk in a co-working space, a big workshop, or a retail store, your business probably needs a physical home. And yeah, you guessed it, there are specific laws for that too. This is where property law comes in. It covers your physical footprint, and it kind of splits into two main types. First, you've got real property. That's the big stuff, the land and the buildings, like your office lease. And then you have personal property, which is basically everything else, from the company car to your team's laptops. As you grow, you're going to realize pretty quickly that you can't do it all yourself. You'll need other people to act on behalf of your business. But what does that relationship actually look like, legally speaking? Now listen up, because this is a massive one for new businesses. The law sees a huge difference between an employee, who is part of your business, and an independent contractor, who is basically their own business providing a service to you. This little distinction changes everything. Tax, superannuation, your legal responsibilities. Trust me, getting this one wrong can be very expensive. So your idea is protected, your team is in place, and you're ready to open the doors. This is the exciting part. You're dealing with customers, which, of course, brings a whole new set of legal things to think about. And things are going great. Sales are coming in, customers are happy, you're finally living the dream. And then, out of nowhere, a delivery person slips on a wet floor. Or maybe a customer trips over a cable in your shop. All of a sudden, you're staring down a potential legal nightmare. What's your responsibility here? This is where something called the tort of negligence comes into play. Now, a tort is just a legal term for a civil wrong that causes someone harm. The key idea here is the duty of care. As a business owner, you have a legal obligation to take reasonable steps to keep people safe from any harm you could see coming. And that duty of care, it doesn't just stop with having a safe space. It extends to the very things you sell, whether it's a physical product or a digital service. The Australian consumer law is your roadmap here. It's what makes sure you don't make misleading claims in your marketing, and it guarantees that your products are safe and actually do what you say they will.
At the end of the day, it's the foundation of your reputation with the public.
Okay, so we've touched on some really key legal areas for your business, but it kind of makes you wonder, right? Where do all these rules and laws actually come from? Understanding this helps you stay ahead of the game. In Australia, it's actually pretty simple. The laws that govern your business flow from two major sources, and you'll find they often work together. First, you've got statute law. This is the law that's formally written down and passed by Parliament. That Australian consumer law we just mentioned, a perfect example of a statute. Then you have common law. This is the law that's built up over time from the decisions judges make in court. That duty of care we talked about with negligence, that was developed through common law. And knowing the difference is super helpful. It helps you figure out where to look for answers. Is your question covered by a specific act of Parliament, or do you need to see how courts have handled similar situations in the past?
So there you have it. From protecting your big idea with IP law to honoring your contracts and fulfilling your duty of care to customers, we've just walked through the legal foundation for your business. Look, the law isn't a barrier. It's the blueprint for building something that's meant to last. So the real question is, are you ready to start building?